He's trying to do things right, and he's trying to make things better for us in NXT. He's trying to make more creative, trying to make the show more watchable. But it's Seth Rollins' fault that he has to turn back into the game Triple H. Why am I going to boo the guy who just told me he's trying to make my show better? And then what happens? Seth Rollins comes out for the face-off, and here comes the crippler, Samoa Joe, and he gets good heat. The place erupted into chants of, Joe, it's Samoa Joe. And then he beats him up, throws him in the ring, chokes him out, and Triple H puts his shirt back, who's very, very sweaty, by the way. Triple H might want to look into a prescription-strength antiperspirant. He was, like, sweating on the top of his shoulder blades. It was very strange. Yeah. But, so Samoa Joe comes out, and he's pretty much Triple H's hired muscle, and then Triple H and Joe look at each other, and they walk away. Now, I thought the segment was great. I shouldn't say I thought it didn't really make sense logically, but I thought the pop was good, the way it was delivered, everything was good. And I thought Joe needed to make his debut, and I thought it was the right move.
Yeah, it's a fine idea for it. I think the concept of what they were trying to do, with having Joe basically be like a hired gun, I guess, for Triple H in this case, coming from NXT, which is fine. I think everyone was speculating that Samoa Joe was going to debut at some point in the near future. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be on Smackdown, but, I mean, neither here nor there.
Well, that was Mark Meltzer saying that he was going to feud with John Cena, his best friend, right?
I think that was one of the ideas that was pitched for Cena's match at WrestleMania, but I guess that's not in the cards. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's, it's just like you said, the logic of it isn't really, firm in the sense that, those, like, Triple H came off as a babyface, like Joe's debut, of course, came off as, the crowd pleasing segment, so poor Seth Rollins ended up getting, his rear end kicked again.
Rear end, nice.
It was unfortunate, obviously, of course, that the news came out the next day, or a day or two later, that Rollins had injured his knee again. In the brawl with Joe, and I think the current diagnosis, I think, for him is about like 6 to 8 weeks for his knee, which would put him right at WrestleMania. So I don't know what they're going to do, or if they even know what they're going to do yet, as far as if they're going to be able to continue with the planned Rollins Triple H match, or they're going to have to call an audible and come up with something different. Pretty unfortunate. I assume that they were going to go with Seth Rollins against Samoa Joe at Fastlane, which would have been really good, I think, or at least it seems like it would have been really good on paper. But I don't think we're going to get to see that now, and we'll have to see what they do with Rollins over the next 2 months, if he can continue to appear on television and he'll still have his match or not, and if not, then what they do as an alternative, because I'm sure Triple H is now going to want to wrestle it at WrestleMania again, so...
Sure, might as well put him in there against Roman Reigns.
Well, it's like a 12-hour show, so gotta get him in there somewhere.
I heard it's actually going to start on Friday this year.
Yeah,
just continue all the way through.
Fantastic.
What did you think of Raw?
I thought it was, it was a solid effort compared to some of their other weeks. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of segments there's so many segments that they're not all winners. But it wasn't bad.
It's tough to rate the whole thing.
Yeah, so I mean, it's probably like a B- because of some of the, for me anyway, some of the stuff that they.
I also went B-. It's kind of like somebody's like, hey, how were the Halloween movies? It's like, well, there were 45 of the Halloween movies, so I can't really tell you how they all were. And before we get to this week's Smackdown review, we're here to remind you that, as always, we are brought to you by...
Attention everyone, this is Allie, and you're listening to Damage 365 Radio.
The Damage 365 Radio Network, and yet another outlet for you to listen to our show, and that is Spreaker.com/show/ANLWP. So, without further ado, Smackdown kicked off, again, to me, just an easier show to watch this week, and you have, how did it kick off?
Cena.
Oh, yeah, Cena came out. Which, see, the issue that I had was Cena came out and he delivered his promo, and he kind of he gave AJ props, right?
He did. He said he put him over pretty good.
He put him over, but then what happens? The Wyatt family shows up. So immediately I'm thinking, well, AJ's out of the title picture, and that will be confirmed later on in the show. But So, long story short, it's Cena talking to Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton, and then lights go out again, and in the ring with John Cena is Luke Harper. Teddy Long walks out, and he made that no, I'm just kidding. And shortly afterwards, that was made into a tag match. So it was Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt against John Cena and Luke Harper. I can only hope this is the beginning of a very long, sustained main event run for Luke Harper, who definitely deserved it. He looked, I don't want to say motivated, but he was moving fast, man. He's a fast, big guy, and the crowd's, I think, getting behind him as a face right now, and I think they had a really good match. A little surprised to see John Cena lose, considering he just beat AJ Styles for the record 16th world title defense. But I guess that's the only way they really know how to sell a title match.
I guess. The sense I get is that they don't have a lot of big plans for Cena in the next few months, and which then begs the question of why put your world title on him on Sunday. But I won't keep going down that path, I guess. But yeah, I mean, Orton got a win over him, pinned him in this match, and that set up Cena and Orton next week on Smackdown, which is interesting.
Have they ever wrestled before?
This might be the first time.
Might be the first time.
I'm not sure.
I'll have to look it up.
It's interesting, I guess. People must know, or maybe they must just assume people know that that's technically their WrestleMania main event right now. So, why would you give that away on SmackDown next week? So, but they're just going to go ahead and do
Randy Orton won the Royal Rumble to main event WrestleMania against the champion. Why? That's a huge head scratcher.
Yeah, it's a curious.
Even that train doesn't know. The train doesn't know, man.
It's a curious George situation.
It's a curious train situation.
So that's that's a good main event for SmackDown next week for sure.
That was such one of those backhanded compliments.
Yeah,
it's a great main event for SmackDown. The other part about this match was it seemed like Luke Harper was still kind of under the spell of Bray Wyatt, and every time he faced off with Bray, Luke Harper would tag Cena roll outside. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that going forward. But I still like that program. I like the Wyatt and Randy Orton versus Luke Harper thing. Cena, I really couldn't care less if he's in it or not. Speaking of things I could not begin to care less about, Carmella versus Delilah Dawson. Why is JBL such a douche? Every week, it seems like JBL is attacking people's looks and attacking them physically. I think this girl he called a Smurf or something. I think he alluded to her being fat once.
She was wearing blue. I know
she was wearing blue, and she said she looked like a turtle, kind of the same stuff he says about. That's what he said.
Ellsworth.
He said Ellsworth looks like a turtle, and Delilah Dawson looks like a turtle, so they should be together. JBL, I wish I had a GIF of you getting knocked out by Joey Styles. And I would harass you on Twitter with it all the time.
Did you catch the Blue Meanie reference?
I did. Didn't Morrow make that, right?
Yeah.
That was the best part of this match. JBL is such a... God, I can't stand him. Next. Unless you want to talk about Delilah Dawson, which I'm totally cool with.
No. Dolph Ziggler beat Kalisto again in about 2 minutes. Not a whole lot to say here, right? Apollo Crews came out.
Something to do for Apollo Crews. I'm totally for it.
Yeah, I think he just had a sparring session with Rocky backstage, so he was fresh off
that. Come on! It was an honest mistake that Daniel Bryan made.
Oh, the Apollo Creed thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely not still referencing it 3 months later, so... I mean, it happens. There's not much there. I don't know what they're setting up Ziggler for. Whatever. There's not really much going on there. They did Naomi and Becky Lynch against Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. Yeah. I know you said you enjoyed this match pretty well.
Yeah, I did. I really liked this match. I like Naomi. I think she's obviously going to be next line to challenge Alexa Bliss. As per, she got another pinfall over her. That was twice this week. So, by my count, two of the 4 SmackDown champions got pinned so far in the show. I love Mickie James. She hasn't lost a step, obviously. I know she was in TNA, but nobody really knows that. But as far as the WWE product, she's still working very well. Everybody in this match was good. I don't like Naomi's Taekwondo kicks, the one the Mike Bailey kicks. I don't like when Mike Bailey did it. I don't like it when Naomi does it. But aside from that, I do like her moveset, and she did hit the split-legged moonsault off the top rope, and she pinned Alexa Bliss. So curious on the whole pinfall situation. But speaking of curious pinfall decisions, that leads us to our main event, non-title match. AJ Styles defeating Dean Ambrose at 19 minutes. I thought this was another really strong match between these two. What else is it? I'm noticing a trend. Anytime AJ Styles wrestles, it's a good match.
It's interesting how that
Mark
works
of
out.
a champion.
Yeah.
Mark of a true champion. This was a match, good back and forth. I had mentioned to Joe off air that, Dean Ambrose seems to bust out some different moves lately, and then Joe kind of reminded me that he's really busting him out against AJ, because I feel like him and AJ have good chemistry, and AJ's like, that's fine, do whatever, make the match good, and that's all he cares about. So, this is now the third champion that has gotten pinned on SmackDown. That's
correct.
That's pretty interesting to me. I can understand you're trying to find ways to build feuds, but you gotta do better than that. That's rough. I mean, Ambrose had a mediocre at best showing in the Rumble, I would say, right? He got tossed out by who? Lesnar? Or
that sounds
Strowman?
right. Yeah,
I think he got tossed out by Lesnar. And I understand some people in this room are not on the Dean Ambrose bandwagon, and I'm totally, and I have no issue with that, but I think if he's going to be your IC champion, you kind of got to do him a couple more favors, and maybe this will lead to AJ taking the IC title from Ambrose. I don't really know.
Well, I think these guys are all, I think the idea is that they're all in the Elimination Chamber, right?
Yeah.
Styles is in it, Ambrose is in it, Miz and Baron Corbin were doing commentary, they're both in it. And then Cena and Wyatt, who were in the opening match, are also in it. So that rounds out the 6. So I think they're just kind of
one of those everybody in the match. Let's do singles matches and see what happens.
Yeah, they're intertwining those 6 guys because they only have like 2 weeks to build. It's this week's show, and then they have next week's SmackDown, and then Elimination Chamber is the following Sunday.
Wow! I didn't realize it was that close.
Yeah, they have to turn it around quick. So I guess this is the best way for them to do it. So
what I do like about SmackDown is that there's really no distinction between the IC title and the World title. Like, they're both very prestigious, it seems like, and you have The Miz did it, Dean Ambrose did it, now AJ Styles is doing it. He's kind of going back, between divisions, which I think is nice because it brings a little more importance to the IC title, except when you have the guy take a pin to... Oh, God, I'm so sick of... How many times did we talk about champions take... This... When we first started this podcast, almost over 2 years ago, I think the first episode, you said one of your pet peeves was champions getting pinned in non-title matches, and here we are, like... On every single champion got pinned. It's crazy.
Yeah, except American Alpha, who didn't even have a match. So
for like week number 5, and then they cut that promo saying they will have like run through everybody. It's like, you beat Breezango. You beat Fabrice. Like, hey, you didn't really run through anybody, and you beat Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. That was like what, a month and a half ago.
Yeah, I think so.
So, did you like the SmackDown show?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It's probably about the same as... I mean, for me, about like B-, somewhere around that, for similar as Raw, I guess.
Yeah, I like the in-ring work, AJ and Dean had a good match, and Orton and Wyatt and John Cena and Luke Harper had a good match. Those 2 matches alone took up a half hour of the show, and yes, there's a little bit of fluff in between, but I thought it was a good wrestling show, so I'm also like, wow, I'm going to go B- too. That's probably the first time we've agreed on all of them. What's going on this week? I guess next week's going to be the go-home show for Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, I think next week Goldberg's going to be on Raw, so we'll see if they advance anything with him in that regard. And then, it's the last SmackDown before Elimination Chamber, which will be the following Sunday, which I think is the 12th.
Yeah, Super Bowl Sunday is the 5th, so the week after that.
There you go. So those are the next couple weeks, and then they'll have Fastlane a few weeks after that, and then it'll be... full speed ahead for WrestleMania weekend.
It'd be nice if Ring of Honor had a show one of these days, huh?
They have one on March 10th, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So it was like a Friday night. Yeah, it's like
that's Supercard of Honor?
The anniversary show, 13th, 14th, whichever anniversary it is.
When's Manhattan Mayhem?
The 4th of March.
We're going to be there.
Yeah.
We're going to be there front row when Bobby Fish beats Adam Cole for the World Heavyweight title. He might. You never know where Adam Cole's going to sign. You'd have an issue with that too, wouldn't you?
No, I don't know that Fish is signed either. So I think it's...
There's like reports that say he's signed, reports that say he's not signed.
I think he's working dates. as far as my understanding. So
Dijak's leaving, Fish is leaving. What the hell are we going to do? Pretty soon it's going to be me and you versus the Tempura boys.
Hey, yeah, whatever draws, man.